We met when I was 24. He was 27. I was still dating men who didn't text back and made me question if I was asking for too much. But he was different. He didn't chase me like the others. He stood still and let me choose him. There was something so steady about him. He didn't play games. He remembered things I said, even in passing. He brought me cough syrup when I was sick, fixed the squeaky hinge on my bathroom door without asking, and always walked on the outside of the sidewalk. He didn't make me feel dizzy. He made me feel safe. We were never that couple who posted kissing selfies or matching pajamas. But we had something solid, quiet, real. A slow burn that took its time. 3 years of learning each other's favorite takeout orders, arguing about thermostats, laughing at inside jokes no one else understood. Then one Sunday, in the middle of a quiet park while geese waddled by and kids screamed in the background, he proposed. No music. No crowd. No grand gestures, just him. Shaking. Holding out a ring with trembling hands. And tears in his eyes when I said yes. I cried too. We started planning the wedding right away, nothing flashy, just intimate. We wanted it to feel like us. Simple, sincere, full of heart. And because it was tradition, our friends insisted on throwing us bachelor and bachelorette parties. We agreed on the rules early. No strippers. Nothing wild. Just a few drinks, some dancing, and call it a night. I meant it. I really did. But then came the bachelorette night. It was supposed to be low-key. Dinner, a little bar hopping. That's all. But then she showed up, my best friend since college. Nadia. Nadia, who always wanted chaos. Nadia, who said, "What's the point of a bachelorette party if you don't break one rule?" She always brought the fire, and left me to deal with the ashes. I should have said no. I should have walked out. But instead, I laughed. I drank. I lost count of the shots. Lost control of my voice. Lost something else, too. One night. One stupid drink too many. One moment I barely remember. The kind of moment you think you can bury. But it always finds its way back, especially when you have the most to lose. It started with a dare. We were 2 bars in, maybe 3, and Nadia had slipped into her usual role, the instigator. "Come on, it's your last night as a free woman," she said, grinning over the rim of her cocktail. "One little kiss. That guy's hot. You'll forget by morning." I should have said no. I should have walked away. Instead, I let the tequila talk. There was a guy at the bar, tall, a little too charming, the type Nadia always dragged into chaos. She dared me to kiss him. I laughed. I was dizzy. The music was too loud. Somewhere between defiance and foolishness, I leaned in and kissed a stranger. It wasn't passionate. It wasn't long. Just a quick, blurry moment soaked in alcohol and bad judgment. And someone filmed it. Of course they did. I barely even remembered it. Until 2 days later, when the man I loved looked at me like I was someone he didn't recognize. It was the night before the wedding. We were in the suite his parents had booked for him. I had gone over to drop off a handwritten letter I'd been working on for weeks. A love note for him to read before the ceremony. Instead, I walked in and found him staring at his phone, jaw clenched, hands shaking. He didn't say hello. He didn't smile. He just turned the screen toward me. Paused on a grainy, dimly lit clip. Me. Leaning into a man's face. Laughing. Kissing. It felt like someone else's body. Someone else's choice, you kissed someone else. His voice was low, empty. 48 hours before you were supposed to vow forever. I started sobbing. Trying to explain. Saying it meant nothing. It was a joke. I was drunk. I don't even remember his name. It was 2 seconds, it wasn't real, but he just stood there. Still. Silent. I reached for him. He stepped back. He didn't yell, didn't accuse. That made it worse. I thought you were different, he finally said. I waited for you. I trusted you. And then he said something I'll never forget, now I feel like I'm marrying a stranger. I begged him to cancel the wedding if that's what he wanted. But he shook his head. Said, no. We'll still get married. We did. I smiled through the ceremony. Held his hand. Said my vows. But something in him died. And something in me knew it. Later that night, he whispered it without looking at me, I forgive you. But he never looked at me the same again. Our honeymoon felt like a job interview. Polite. Scheduled. Surface deep. We ate breakfast quietly, walked on beaches in silence. He took photos of landscapes, never of me. At night, he slept next to me. Held me even. But not with me. It was like his body was there, but his soul had packed a separate bag. I kept waiting for a crack in the ice. A smile. A moment where we could talk about it, really talk about it. But he gave me civility. Structure. Manners. Not love. When we got home, things got colder. He made dinner when it was his turn. Took out the trash. Refilled the Brita. But every word he spoke was functional. Efficient. No warmth. No teasing. No spontaneous touches. It was like being married to a ghost. I tried. God, I tried. Therapy. Long letters I left on his pillow. Little gifts, inside jokes from our dating years. I even cooked his favorite meal on a random Tuesday, hoping he'd ask why, hoping it would open something up. He said thank you. Then rinsed his plate and walked away. It's like he's punishing me without touching me. And maybe I deserved it. Maybe not. But what killed me wasn't the silence. It was how much I missed him. His laugh. His fingers brushing mine during movies. The way he used to say, I love you, like it was a promise. One night, I sat in the car outside a bar for 20 minutes. Just parked there. I wasn't planning to cheat, but I thought about it. Not for revenge, but to feel seen. Desired. Human. I couldn't go through with it. I made one mistake. But now every breath I take feels like penance. Then, one evening, I was digging through old wedding boxes in the attic, looking for an old guest list for a friend. And I found it. A letter. Folded inside our engagement scrapbook. His handwriting. It said, I've never trusted anyone the way I trust you. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real. You're honest. You always tell me the truth, even when it's messy. That's the woman I want to marry. I sat on the attic floor and cried until my ribs hurt. He meant every word. And I shattered it for nothing. For a joke. A dare. A moment I can barely remember that now defines every single day of my life. I always thought he'd leave. Not dramatically. Not with suitcases or slammed doors. Just, quietly. One day I'd wake up and his side of the bed would be empty for good, a folded note on the kitchen counter. His keys in the dish by the door. But he stayed. Even after months of distance. After birthday dinners eaten in silence. After holidays where he barely looked up from his phone. He stayed. So I convinced myself that maybe staying meant something. Maybe it was his way of trying. Maybe love was buried deep under the coldness, just waiting to be thawed. Until I opened our old shared email. I wasn't snooping. I swear I wasn't. I had logged in to find an old warranty for our washing machine. But what I found instead was a flight confirmation. His name. One ticket. Departing the following month. It was to Seattle. We don't know anyone in Seattle. I stared at the screen for 5 full minutes. My heart didn't even race, it just stopped. When I confronted him, I didn't yell. I just asked. Were you leaving me? He didn't even blink. I was going to leave. Twice. But I stayed to punish you instead. I felt my stomach turn to stone. He said it like he was commenting on the weather. Like this had all been methodical. Every silence, every cold dinner, every shrug, he said, that was intentional. I wanted you to feel it. Not just the betrayal, but what it does to someone. I wanted you to sit in it. I was crying before I realized I was crying. I didn't cheat on you, I whispered. But you broke something, he said. You made me feel like a fool. Like a man begging for scraps of dignity on the most important week of his life. I nodded, because I had no defense left. Just guilt and grief. And then he looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time in months. Not angry. Not even sad. Just hollow. You weren't just my bride, he said softly. You were my peace. My quiet in the chaos. And now, I don't even know who you are. That broke me. Not because he was cruel. But because he was right. I didn't just ruin a wedding. I ruined a man. The man who once adored me. It's been 3 years. We still live in the same house. We still sleep under the same roof. But we're not married anymore. Not really. We're coexisting. He doesn't hate me. But he doesn't love me either. He talks to me like a roommate. A coworker. A distant relative you only see at funerals. No more forehead kisses. No more lingering glances across the room. No more, I missed you today. The man who once memorized my coffee order doesn't even know I stopped drinking caffeine 8 months ago. Sometimes I wonder if it would have been easier if he had left. At least then I could have cried it out, mourned, started over. But this slow, quiet ache of being near someone who used to love you deeply, and now looks through you like glass, it's unbearable in a way I can't put into words. I don't date. I don't try. Honestly, I don't think I could stomach someone else's arms around me. I journal. I go to work. I volunteer at a reading program for kids on Saturdays. I smile when people are looking. But not much when they aren't. I walk past happy couples in parks and wonder what it feels like to be chosen again. To be forgiven. To feel safe. Sometimes I see women laughing too loud in bars and wonder if they know the cost of recklessness. The weight of one moment you think won't matter, until it does. Every year, on our anniversary, I watch our wedding video. Alone. I sit on the couch with a blanket pulled up to my chin and try to remember how it felt to be her, the woman in the white dress, smiling like she had the rest of her life mapped out in joy. He walks by sometimes. Never stops. But he knows. And I wonder if he watches it, too, just in his head, in broken flashes. I used to believe love could fix anything. That if someone really loved you, they'd find a way back. Now I know better. Some mistakes don't shatter things. They corrode them slowly, until what's left looks intact but is already gone. And I think about that night. That kiss. That dare. Over and over. And I ask myself, if I could rewind one night, would everything be different? I think so. But I'll never know. So let me ask you, have you ever ruined something beautiful with just one reckless moment?